November is just around the corner, and that means the 16th Annual National Podcast Post Month is fast approaching. Hi, I'm Jennifer Navarrete, founder of NaPodPomo, and I'm inviting you to join the 30-day Global Podcasting Challenge. Whether you're a newbie looking to start your first podcast or a seasoned pro seeking inspiration, NaPodPomo is the perfect place to experiment and try new things. Visit napodpomo.org to learn more. See where podcasting can take you this November during National Podcast Post Month.
Mission Hope. Inspirational stories of faith and triumph. Life's many upheavals, sharp curves, twists and turns, the challenging circumstances coming right at you are nonstop. The inner wars within are outside your control and feel overwhelming. You feel alone, and the seemingly endless battles rage on. You feel like you have lost all hope and faith, questioning, why me? Why now? How can I handle another blow? The answers you're seeking are in this collection of 20 uplifting stories in this book. Within its golden pages, from the deep confines of their hearts and souls, these extraordinary authors have opened up and are here to assist you in navigating the deep, daunting, and dark waters that you are facing. Each story is unique in its experience, but similar in the fact that through everything presented to them in life, these authors have found the way back to success, peace, and joy through hope and faith. These authors have turned tragedy into tranquility once again. Now, they are here to empower you to shift from what once was fear and failure into the future of your dreams. They offer as a gift to you the freedom to choose your destiny. Now, it's time to turn the key and walk through the door. Hear from the authors themselves as they share their journey and story with you here on Living the Next Chapter.
Okay, everyone, welcome back to Living the Next Chapter. I have a friend on the screen with me, back again for book 2 with Shar Murphy. And we're going to be talking about the next chapter. It's Living the Next Chapter, right? We've written the next chapter in a new book coming out for Mission Hope. And Shar brought this wonderful person along my path, and we had a great chat for book 1. Now we're back for book 2, and Babien is back as well. Welcome back to the podcast. So happy to have you here. How are you?
Thank you, Dave. It's wonderful to be here. I'm so happy to be back on the podcast with you. It's been a wonderful experience. The first one was amazing, so I'm just happy to see your friendly face.
Oh, come on. I'm happy to have you back. It's exciting to see you again on camera. And again, we're excited about Shar's new book. We're excited to talk to the authors again and hear about their chapter. You have a chapter you're going to be talking about today that was difficult to write. Shar had to convince and help you along with this, and I love Shar for that. What I wanted to start off with is just your thoughts to Shar. I know she's going to listen to this, and if I could get out of the way for a few minutes and you open the podcast talking directly to your great friend and mentor, Shar, what would you say to Shar as we kick off our podcast today?
Oh my goodness, where do I begin? Shar, you are an amazing mentor, friend, partner in crime, as it were. I think we've already discussed that we're soul sisters, that we may have shared many, many moons, many lives together in the past. And you do feel like a sister to me in every way. And I was an only child, so that fits right in. I always wanted a sibling, and you really have the ability, not only with your kindness and your inspiration, but to be able to draw out parts of my experience that I really was not, didn't feel able to share, and frankly, I was not willing to share, as you well know. And I thank you, because the one thing that you did say to me, which is what I think flipped the switch, was that this would help many people, and especially women going through similar experiences or having gone through and not been able to cope properly. That was it for me. Once I heard that, I said, okay, then it is worth it. It is worth it. And here we are. And thank you for all your help on this path. Oh my goodness.
Char Murphy, we love you, and we
love you.
You're a great mentor. You're a great encouragement, and you're helping some new authors who maybe would never write a book or write a chapter in a book. And she's just that person to inspire somebody to do this. And your story is difficult to talk about, and we chatted before hitting record that if it wasn't for Char kind of pushing you forward in this and encouraging you, this might not have been written, or this story might not have been shared. And so let's talk a little bit about the story, a little bit of background about the story, so we can get some insight into your chapter and why you wanted to share this message through Char's encouragement. Can you kind of give us a little background to the story?
Yes. I basically met my husband. I was already in my mid-30s. I had been in the music business touring, and really my life was about that. But I had wanted to get married and have children, and I had already broken off 2 engagements. So I kind of felt it was my time to I didn't want to give up the music business, but I felt very strongly that I wanted to have at least one child. And I didn't want to wait till it was impossible to do. So when Luis came into my life, who is, passed on, we talk about that in the first book, it was like a whirlwind romance, and it was really wonderful. And I did feel this is the time. And he already had children and was married before, but he was certainly ready for another one. And we were very excited about it. So long story short, I got pregnant on my honeymoon right away, and we were very, very excited, and we both wanted a child very much. So it was pretty shocking. We were on a little trip to Cape Cod. I think this is around 1994, same year we got married, that summer. And I was about 4 months pregnant, and I still felt pretty good. I was tired, a little bit more tired than I had expected. But we knew I wasn't feeling great. Okay. And so everything went along. We went back home, and I had just started a new job because I was trying to find another career because I couldn't, tour, or I had been doing voice lessons, but I wanted to do something else as well. So I went back to the restaurant business, and they offered me a job as a manager. And I went in to see the doctor, and basically they said, well, this is a high risk pregnancy, and you're going to have to go on bed rest for 22 weeks. And I didn't feel like that. I mean, I was still in my 30s. I didn't, I felt great, but something was not quite right. Well, long story short, when we got to the 25th week, I think it was 25.6, however they put it, I was out having coffee with a friend at a cafe, and literally my water broke. And intellectually, I knew that was not a good thing, but I had also heard about different things like amniocentesis, not amniocentesis, amniotic infection. I had read up, and I love to read up on things and do research. And I knew that things could happen, but you'd still be okay if you went to the hospital, and they could do whatever they could do. I had heard all kinds of stories. So I wasn't freaked out at first. I was a little bit nervous. I called the doctor's office, and they said, just go right to the emergency room. And I did, and they met me there. I was examined, and they didn't give me the bad news at first. They did not. They basically, just examined me and said, we're doing the best we can. We're going to see what we can do. Yes, your water has broken. We're going to see what we can do. It was too soon to deliver a child because the lungs were not completely formed. but no, again, nobody told me anything for at least the first 3 or 4 hours. And my husband got there, and then they delivered the bad news, and they basically said, there's really no more we can do. It was late that evening. We're going to, you're a little bit dilated. We're going to have to do a delivery tomorrow. So I'm like, well, what do I do in the meantime? Well, you just have to stay here in the hospital. We're going to give you some Demerol to relax you, which they did. And at first that worked very, very well. But my husband stayed with me until about 11:30 that night, and I sent him home. We were shocked. We were in shock. And they basically said, we're going to have to deliver, and you're going to have to, plan a funeral, or, we didn't know what to make of anything. I was crying for a while, but I was basically just in shock. He was in shock. We didn't know how to handle any of this because this was pretty far along. This was not an early miscarriage. So I just didn't know what to do. I kept hoping that the baby would live. I didn't know what to do. I tried to fall asleep, and I had a dream that there were 2 children on a tandem bike, and one was a boy and one was a girl, and the boy was a little bit older than the girl. I could tell the girl had black hair and blue eyes, and the boy had brown eyes and red hair. And meanwhile, my husband was from Ecuador, and I'm about as blonde as we can be. So it was an interesting, but it was a good thing I had that dream, I have to say, because I don't think I would have believed that I would have ever had a child after this ordeal. So that was spirit is good. God is good. I was praying and praying and praying for a miracle. And so I had also had a dream the night before this happened. I'm remembering now, where like a dam broke and water just was all over the place, like a flood. So I guess they were showing me this is the progression. So he stayed with me and held my hand, and we just stayed there. The nurses came in and out, and everything seemed fine. I finally said, I felt I wasn't in a lot of pain or anything, so I was okay. I said, let's try to get some sleep. You go home and come back in the morning. And because I didn't want him to stay up all night with me, I thought I'd be fine. So he left before midnight. They let him stay later, and I was all alone. And for some reason, I don't know if something happened on the nurse's desk, but the pain got really bad late that night. And at one point, they did come in after he left, and they said, we can't give you any more Demerol after this. We're not going to be able to do that. So I guess they had reached the limit. So they just ignored any call on the bell to the nurse after that. I'm not really sure why. I don't know if I can name the hospital. I think I did in the book, actually. But, I don't even, it doesn't really matter anymore. It's so many years gone by. I did not do anything about it. But no one answered my calls after that. And the pain was so excruciating after a couple of hours. I couldn't cope. And I just asked God, I said, please take me out. I mean, I didn't want to die, but make me unconscious. I just begged. I can't deal with this. I was just in agony. And that's what happened. So I don't remember anything after that until my husband came in the room and found me on the bed. The baby had obviously come out on its own while I was unconscious, which is even worse, in the night, and we were still attached. And there was, I guess, according to him, blood all over the place. And this is what he saw. And he went off the deep end after that, basically, not for the rest of his life, which, he did pass away quite young. But I'm sure this contributed to his mental health problems, because it was only after that incident that he was diagnosed bipolar, and he never had that before. And he went off and had a lot of mental health issues after that, as well as addictions and that kind of thing. But when I put 2 and 2 back together, going back, this was kind of the beginning of a downward slide, and we had just gotten married that year.
Wow.
It was just awful. So they came in and cleaned me up and woke me up and checked me out. And after that, they asked us if we wanted a minister or a priest, and we said yes. They gave us a chance they cleaned the baby up. They gave us a chance. The baby was alive, by the way. The baby was delivered alive, which made it even more difficult because it was like, well, then why can't you it was a boy. Why can't you keep this baby alive? So, which made no sense to me really in the big scheme of life, but I understood technically that their lungs weren't completely developed. They said he'll be alive for about a half hour. So we both got to spend time with the baby. We had a counselor came in, and then the priest came in, and then we had to say goodbye. And they did we did a small ceremony in the chapel. And after that, it was just I don't know what to say. I don't remember a lot. I just remember that I spent weeks just in my apartment, kind of rocking back and forth in a fetal position, and my husband just was with me as much as he could be, but he also had to work at that time. I did not go back to work for a while after that.
Yeah.
I did, but not immediately. I had to take some time off, but it's a bit of a blur after that.
Yeah.
I have to say. So
Babien, like for someone listening to you right now, and it's like you're replaying their life. They're hearing your words, but it's their story too. And they're like, I can't believe I'm hearing this on a podcast. Like that's what happened to our family. What would you say to that husband and wife listening who has this kind of bad news in their life? They feel totally alone, scared. They don't know what to do. From your experience, what would you say to a family that's dealing with this right now?
Well, especially if it's your first, any child, but if it's your first, it's even more devastating because what I believed was that I would never be able to have a healthy child. That was my first thought. That's not obviously true, but that's how you feel. Losing your faith in, always been have strong faith in God. And this book was called, really, it's about faith and stories of faith. Mm-hmm. Boy, did this test my faith. Boy, did this test my faith, because I'm like, I was abandoned. Not only was I abandoned, I felt from spirit, but nobody came to help me when I felt like I was dying in a hospital. Mm-hmm. So what this did was it destroyed my trust in people, institutions, never 100% in God, because God was what took me out of the pain. I did pray, and Spirit did show me. So no, I never lost my faith in God. I didn't. But boy, was I tested to the point of, never, they talk about abandonment issues, which I had anyway as a child. This kind of reinforced, and it's funny because my husband also had those same issues, reinforced that. So not only is it reinforcing it to you personally, but the abandonment reinforces in your marriage. And later years, we did go into therapy, just the two of us, about not just this, but, what it caused after that. Lack of trust, lack of belief. You're a positive person, and then all of a sudden it goes out the window. So that kind of trauma, and I've suffered other traumas since, which I talk about in the first book, losing my husband and my house, again, abandonment. But this was like the first major dark night of the soul. I want to say my second. I did go through one at around 29, but this was far greater in terms of visceral, your body, your life and death response, your feeling of, I have no life. What happened to my life? This was the first where it was life and death. It was like, do I go on? Do I want to go on? the dreams are really what kept me going. For the families out there that are listening, I can't guarantee you're going to have a precognitive dream about what's going to happen, but that's what kept me going. And I just prayed and I just prayed and I just prayed. And I tried to get through each moment as it came. And I didn't think about the future. I just tried to go day by day by day. So that's what I did. And that's about all the advice I can give. I just prayed and I tried to stay moment to moment. But you got to just hold on to something, you know. My life was not the same. I mean, I didn't really do much for months. I mean, I was able to maybe after 3 or 4 weeks leave the apartment, and I was living in New York City at the time. So, but I didn't really, I was like a zombie for a while. I was like a zombie. I really was in shock. So I don't know how much help that was for people.
No, it's, what's nice is that people can then hear another voice that speaks into them and into their situation where no one else can, because no one else knows what it feels like. No one knows what that, to hear bad news or to go through this, no one in their family can relate and they feel alone. So to hear your voice talking about your story helps them to connect with you on a deep level, because there's someone else in the world that understands how scared I am and what's going on in my life. So just to know that there's someone else out there is good. So your chapter, you were hesitant about writing, but Shar, in her wonderful ways, have kind of helped you along to get this into the book and to write this chapter. If it wasn't for Shar, do you think you would have written this chapter and put it out into the world?
Probably not, although I was asked to write a whole book. I may have, but I have to say, during the writing of this, and it was difficult writing the first one, but I was able to. This one, I had heart palpitations. I started crying while I was writing it. I felt sick. I literally felt physically ill. The day that I actually got those words out the first time, I didn't think I was having a heart attack, but I mean, I have a little bit of anxiety anyway. And I had to stop and breathe because I was really getting all red in the face and my heart was palpitating. And I just had to let it out. It was like, I felt like I was ripping out part of myself that I didn't want to look at. So yet afterwards, there was some therapeutic benefit to writing it beyond the intellectual or the emotional of wanting to help someone. There was, yes, I did feel like I got something off my soul and my chest that I kind of needed to do. But yeah, Shar really, she was the catalyst. Very few people knew about it too. And I've always been one to talk about my past with my I've always had a lot of really good friends, and I have I've been blessed, maybe because I never had a sibling, to go through life and make good friends. But there were close friends that did not even know about it. The people that I was close with at that time, very close with, did know. Yeah. And even some of my extended family members did not know the extent of what we went through. My husband's only my sister-in-law had a vague memory of it because I saw her the other day and she kind of remembered, but there were many friends I never told. It wasn't out of embarrassment. I just didn't want to share it. I just didn't, I shared it with a few people, but what happens is even people I shared it with put it out of their minds too, because nobody wants to think about that. What I did do though, is after a couple of months, I made contact with the spirit. I did, because I always had the mediumistic and the psychic abilities, and I still do. And that has helped me. I did make contact with the spirit, and I thank the spirit for the lesson, but it took a little while to get to that point. And yes, that spirit does come in and out. That was a spirit. I was a full entity that came in to teach me or teach us. lessons about letting go, I guess. Letting go of control, letting go of expectations, just letting go. And that's a tough one, and having faith in what's to come. And then like I say, have 2 healthy children, which I am incredibly grateful for, because the first one was touch and go for 15 days. Mm-hmm. So that triggered this only much later. I became pregnant again that December, and I was told not to. And I refused amniocentesis after that too, because I was afraid it would trigger another miscarriage. Mm-hmm. I refused it, and he was fine. But I'll tell you something, it's for anyone going through this, the trauma is real. And yes, anything that even takes a little bit of a comparison, like 1% comparison that happens in your life afterwards, may trigger the sense memories, the physical memories, and affect you in some way. I did go into therapy. I went in with my husband on this one because we shared this. It was a shared experience, even though it didn't happen in his physical body. It definitely happened it did really actually happen his physical body. What am I saying? In a different way. But so that I would always recommend getting some help. I got spiritual therapy as well as psychological therapy. I did both. And I did do that. I went to God. I went to very close friends. And I just held on to what was real in my life. So, and I was granted a pregnancy very soon after. And he's 28, just turned 28. That was my next, who was my first live child. And it's amazing. It's because the doctors are like, why did you get pregnant so quick? We told it was meant to be. For a while, I thought it was the same spirit, but I realized it was not. I thought it was the same spirit coming back again, but it was a different. He was a boy too. I mean, he is a boy. He's a man now, but that is the beautiful side. I had 2 healthy children. My other one is 25, so you get to the other side. So hang on till you get to the other side. If it is a situation where this was your first, if it's not, then there's a different set of parameters. That was my big thing. But,
So what is your hope as people read your chapter? They turn to your chapter, they start reading. As they read through your chapter, what are you hoping people walk away with? Is there a message that you were hoping to put in front of us in your chapter?
Well, relying on other people is still very difficult for me in any way. So I don't know that you're going to follow my road on that. I tend to rely on spirit more than people. That has been my road. But if you have someone there with you, I mean, my go-to is always spirit, God, my ancestors on the other side. I mean, my father passed away. My mother passed away many, many years ago. My husband, I mean, I have family on the other side that gather around me. So that's my method. Also, music is my great healer. Meditation is what really helped me get through. I meditate every day, several times a day. It helps with the anxiety. Good friends that you can, trust as much as your trust allows. Those are the things that have helped me, because other traumas have happened since this trauma, and you have to be resilient. And the bottom line is, to put it bluntly, we come in alone, but we're not alone. We come in alone, we go out alone, but we're not alone. We are surrounded by spirit. We are surrounded by the God force. We are surrounded by family members on both sides and angels. And that gives me peace of mind and heart. And peace there's nothing that will equal peace. nothing really, I mean, that is the thing that matters most to me in my life right now is peace and love. Everything else, you can't take it with you. So,
Right.
but I mean, my heart goes out to anyone that is experiencing this right now. And believe me, just know that you will be cared for in the big sense. You ask for that proof, maybe. Ask for the proof. Maybe you'll feel loved ones close to you. Maybe you'll see an angel or feel I felt all of that. I've seen all of that. I felt even Jesus come near. I felt Mother Mary. I mean, that's just me. This is not about anything religious. I was brought up a certain way. So, but outside of anything religious, I mean, just the feeling of hope, the feeling of faith, the feeling of love. And we talk about that in the Mission Hope series. I mean, hope is the last thing to go. This was about a faith journey for me because I had to keep my faith in order to get through this and live any type of healthy, fulfilling life. And this happened quite a few years ago. This was 1994. We're now in 2023.
Yeah.
So, and here I am, so yes, you can get through this. You can get through this. And you may have to get through other things. So let this make you stronger and more resilient, and know that you are loved and protected at all times.
I love it. I love it. One more question for you near the end here, but before I do that, people that are listening and they want to reach out to you and they want to connect with you, how do we do that? Where are you online? Where do we find you?
I am on Instagram. I'm Babien Star. I do spiritual counseling as well as authorship, and I'm a musician, songwriter, singer-songwriter. I'm also on YouTube as Babien Star. I'm Babien Avila on Facebook, and my email is babienstar@gmail.com. I do spiritual counseling work. I do mediumship, and I am a singer-songwriter as well. So,
too much talent for one person, by the way. I'm just going to say that out loud.
You too, Dave, right?
So, yeah, well, I'm trying, but I feel very small in your presence because you are a lot. And I love chatting with you. My podcast is called Living the Next Chapter. And my question to you is, what are you doing? What is your next chapter? What are you living? What's coming for you next? Tell us your next chapter.
Well, I am working with a dear friend on a music project that is going to be coming out hopefully next year. And it's a musical. I'm also, I am wanting to do a speaking tour. And Sharon and I have talked about this.
Nice.
Start speaking about our beliefs in the book, because Mission Hope is not a book or several books. It's a mission. So my hope is to be able to get out there more viscerally. I was online the last 2 years doing my own online work in terms of helping people through my spiritual and psychic gifts, doing Tarot Tuesdays and doing my astrology classes, which I also do. But I want to get out in a real kind of standing on a stage with others, talking to people, working with people on meditation, on bringing music and vibrational healing to their lives. Because I think the mental health crisis has gotten so much more amplified since COVID in not just this country, the world. And people are really, they reach out to me personally, but people are in so much pain, and a lot of the traditional methods have not necessarily helped them. So I really would like to do more of that type of work where I can get out and talk to the people in person, not just online, and go to schools or go to communities and just work with, I've done a lot of, I've done teaching work I work with kids also, and especially adolescents and young people that are losing hope. I've also gone through members of my family that have had addictions and lost hope. And what I'm saying is I'd like to pull all that together and really, with this Mission Hope series, get out there and tell people there is hope. There is light at the end of the tunnel. There is love for you, no matter what you've gone through. If you're living on the streets, if you've got an addiction it seems insurmountable, if your family has kicked you out. I mean, I hear all kinds of stories. And if you have like illness after illness after illness, there's a reason why you're here. Don't ever give up hope and faith, because you would not be here if you were not integral, necessary, and incredibly valuable to the world. And people need to know that they're valuable, that they're loved, that they are wonderful, no matter what they have done or lived or gone through. And that is really, I think, part of my mission.
I love it. I love it. I love it. That's a perfect way to end. I love that. Please tell me that you're going to write more books and write more chapters, because I want to have you on my screen more often. I just love chatting with you, and I love your message. And thank you for writing something that's so uniquely personal. You didn't have to do this, but with some gentle nudging from our great friend Shar, you've opened the door now to speak into people's lives and encourage them in their loneliness and fear that there's someone else out there in the world that not only understands, but also cares for them and their situation. So thank you for being part of the podcast again. And you got to come back, okay, please?
Thank you. And you're welcome. And kudos to you for doing what you do. This is an incredible mission, what you're doing.
Well, I get to talk to great people, and that makes my day. So
communication, it's a big
right. Yeah, awesome. Everyone, go check out all the information. Right, with compassion. Yes, everyone, go check out all the information in the show notes. Everything's there. If you're looking for a great speaker, someone to come in and do some amazing work with your teams, she's right here. And make sure you reach out and give her some love, and buy the book. And leave a great review and gift the book to someone else as well. Thank you so much for being part of the podcast.
Thank you, Dave. Thank you so much.
Hey, just jumping on here at the end. Thank you so much for checking out this episode, Living the Next Chapter, talking about Mission Hope Volume 2. You definitely want to pick up a copy of this book. Head over to ourmissionhope.com, missionhope.com. All the information in the show notes. Get a copy of this book. Get one for yourself. Get one for your best friend. And let's encourage these authors as they write and share their stories with us. If you want to connect with me, my name is Dave. livingthenextchapter.com. livingthenextchapter.com. I would love to have you reach out through the website. Let me know what you think of this episode, what you think of the podcast. And let's encourage our fellow authors, and let's do something great. Thank you for being here on the podcast. Again, it's the second book from our great friend Shar Murphy, Mission Hope, Inspirational Stories of Faith and Triumph at ourmissionhope.com. Thanks for being here. Catch you on the next one.